My little brother is our new store manager," Mom announced with a pride-filled voice at our staff meeting. I froze, coffee mug halfway to my lips. The room went silent. 10 years. I'd given this family business 10 years of my life, pulled it back from bankruptcy, and tripled our revenue. Yet there stood my 26-year-old brother Tyler, grinning like he'd just won the lottery while our parents beamed at him like proud lions. "Jess will continue her excellent work with inventory and customer service," Dad added, not meeting my eyes. "Tyler brings fresh perspectives from business school." I watched their faces. The employees who'd worked alongside me through countless late nights looked down at their notebooks. No one dared make eye contact with me. My coffee had gone cold, but the burning in my chest was spreading rapidly. "When does this transition happen?" I asked, my voice unnaturally calm. Mom's smile tightened. "Effective immediately. We've already updated the accounts and banking information." I slid my chair back, walked to the whiteboard, and calmly erased next quarter's strategy, my strategy, that I'd outlined earlier. "Then I guess Tyler has some planning to do," I said, placing the marker in his hand. "Congratulations." The silence was deafening as I walked out. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Check the storage room filing cabinet. Third drawer." I waited until after closing, using my key to enter the darkened store. Our family business, Wright's Home Goods, had been a fixture in downtown Seattle for nearly 40 years. I'd practically grown up between these shelves, learning every aspect of retail from the ground up. The storage room was cluttered, but organized, my doing over the past decade. I found the filing cabinet and pulled open the third drawer. Inside was a manila folder labeled expansion contracts that I'd never seen before. As I reached for it, the lights flicked on. Little late for inventory, isn't it? Tyler stood in the doorway, his business school swagger on full display in his expensive suit. I clutched the folder against my chest. "Just grabbing some things." "Sure you are." He strode forward with that cocky smile I'd come to despise. "Look, I know you're upset, but this is business. Dad and Mom think the store needs modernizing, and frankly, your old-school approach isn't cutting it anymore." I fought to keep my expression neutral. 10 years of profitability says otherwise. Small-scale profitability. He leaned against the wall. "We could be doing so much more. Pop-up shops, online expansion. You've been too scared to take risks. Calculated decisions aren't the same as fear. Whatever helps you sleep at night." His eyes flicked to the folder in my hands. "What's that?" I shrugged, moving toward the door. "Just some old inventory sheets I was working on." "Hand it over," he said, all pretense of friendliness gone. "It's nothing that concerns you." He stepped forward, blocking my path. "Everything in this store concerns me now. I'm the manager." The title hit like a slap. Must be nice getting handed everything on a silver platter. "I earned this," he snapped. "While you were playing shopkeeper, I was getting an MBA. And while you were partying through college, I countered. I was saving this business from Dad's mismanagement." His face darkened. "Give me the folder, Jessica." "No." When he reached for it, I dodged around him and ran. Childish, maybe, but I wasn't letting go of whatever was in this folder. Not after the day I'd had. Behind me, I heard Tyler cursing, but I had already slipped out the back door, locking it behind me. Rain pelted my face as I hurried to my car, the folder protected inside my jacket. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get the key in the ignition. What was in this folder? And more importantly, who had told me about it? I didn't open the folder until I reached my apartment. Inside were documents I'd never seen. A preliminary contract with Megamart Retail Group for the sale of our store location, signed by my father and dated 3 months ago. My stomach dropped. They were selling the store? Our family legacy? The business I'd poured my heart and soul into? Deeper in the folder, I found a property listing for a retail space across town under Wright and Son Enterprises. A new store location with only Tyler and my father listed as owners. My breath caught in my throat. This wasn't just about making Tyler manager. They were cutting me out completely, selling our original store, and starting fresh without me. The final document was a bank statement showing regular transfers from our store account to a separate business account I'd never seen. Small amounts that wouldn't raise suspicion but added up to nearly $50,000 over the past year. My phone buzzed with a text. Now you know. Meet me at Harborview Coffee tomorrow, 8 a.m. Tony DeLuca. Our longest-standing supplier who'd worked with my grandparents when they first opened the store. He'd been acting strange lately, avoiding my parents and dealing only with me. Now I understood why. I barely slept. By morning, my shock had crystallized into something harder, colder. I dressed with care, not the casual clothing I usually wore to the store, but a sharp blazer and jeans that made me look more businesswoman than shopkeeper. Tony was already waiting when I arrived, nursing a black coffee and looking out at the rain-slick street. At 65, he had the weathered look of someone who'd spent a lifetime in business negotiations, but his eyes were kind. "I wasn't sure you'd come," he said as I sat down. "I wasn't sure you'd be the one who sent the text," I countered. "How did you know about those documents?" "Your father asked me to introduce him to the Megamart buyers." He looked genuinely remorseful. "I've known your family too long to say no outright, but it didn't sit right with me. Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "I only saw the final contract last week. Been trying to figure out how to tell you." He shifted uncomfortably. "Your grandmother would be heartbroken to see what they're doing." My grandmother had started the business, built it from nothing. She taught me everything about running it before she passed. "Why are they doing this?" I asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Your brother convinced your father that the real money is in high-end home decor, not the mixed inventory your store carries now. They're planning to pivot completely, cut ties with half their suppliers, including small local ones. Including Tony's wholesale company, I realized. And they need me out of the way because I'd fight it, I concluded." Tony nodded. "There's something else you should know." He pulled out a folded document from his jacket. "Your grandmother and I were close friends. She made me promise to give this to you if I ever felt the store was in jeopardy." I unfolded it with trembling fingers. It was a lease agreement for our building with a special clause highlighted. The tenant maintains first right of refusal for purchase of the property should it become available for sale. "I don't understand," I said, looking up at Tony. "Your parents don't own the building, Jess. They lease it from the Hendersons. If the Hendersons ever decide to sell, the current tenant, Wright's Home Goods, has first crack at buying it. But my parents are selling the business to Megamart," I said, trying to follow the implications. "Exactly. And guess who approached the Hendersons about buying the building last month?" His eyes twinkled. "The Hendersons called me, confused about why the Wrights would sell the business, but try to buy the building separately. The pieces clicked together. They're playing both sides. Selling the business, but buying the building so they can collect rent from Megamart. And cutting you out entirely." Tony sipped his coffee. "The Hendersons were quite surprised to hear that you weren't involved in the decision. They've known you since you were a kid." My mind was racing. This right of refusal, it's to the business entity, not my parents personally? Correct. To Wright's Home Goods as a corporate entity. "And as of yesterday, my brother is the legal manager of that entity," I said slowly, "but I'm still listed as Chief Operating Officer on all our paperwork." Tony's smile was slow and approving. "You always were the smart one." I straightened up in my chair. "I need to talk to the Hendersons. Today." I spent the day in meetings, first with the Hendersons, then with their lawyer, then with a business attorney of my own. By evening, I had a clearer picture and the beginning of a plan. My phone had been ringing all day. My parents, Tyler, even our store assistant manager, Lauren. I ignored them all. I needed time to think, to strategize. I was just reviewing the documents in my apartment when there was a pounding on my door. "I know you're in there, Jess." Tyler's voice boomed through the door. "Open up." I took a deep breath and opened it. Tyler stood there with Lauren, both looking agitated. "You didn't show up for work," Lauren said, concern etched on her face. I was worried. I called in sick, I replied coolly. Bullshit. Tyler pushed past me into my apartment. You took company documents. That's theft. Interesting accusation coming from someone who's been siphoning funds from the company account, I said, watching his face pale. Lauren looked between us, confused. What's going on? Ask him about the Megamart deal, I suggested. Ask him why our parents are selling the store and opening a new one without me. Tyler's face contorted. You had no vision. You were happy keeping it a small, struggling business, profitable business, I corrected, with loyal customers and employees who didn't have to fear for their jobs. Lauren's eyes widened. You're selling the store? What happens to our jobs? Tyler's dismissive wave told her everything. Megamart will bring in their own people. All 15 employees, gone, I translated, some of whom have worked there for decades. Lauren turned to me. Did you know about this? I found out yesterday. Same time I learned they're planning to open a new store without me. It's business, Tyler insisted. Nothing personal. I laughed bitterly. Cutting out the person who saved the business and lining your own pockets isn't personal? I came to make you an offer, Tyler said, ignoring my comment. Give back those documents, keep quiet about what you found, and we'll give you 3 months severance. The audacity was breathtaking. Get out. Don't be stupid, Jess. This is happening whether you like it or not. We'll see about that. Now, get out of my apartment. After they left, Lauren texted me. I had no idea. What can I do to help? Another ally. I was going to need everyone I could get. The next morning, I arrived at the store an hour before opening. I'd texted all employees to come in early for an emergency meeting, my authority as COO still intact enough for them to comply. My parents and Tyler arrived just as I was finishing explaining the situation to our shocked staff. Mom's face drained of color when she saw everyone gathered around me. Jessica, what is the meaning of this? Dad's voice was sharp with authority that no longer intimidated me. I'm just making sure everyone knows what's happening to their jobs, I replied. Since you weren't planning to tell them until the deal was final. This is completely inappropriate, Mom hissed. You're causing unnecessary panic. One of our longest-serving employees, Hector, stepped forward. Is it true you're selling to Megamart? My father's hesitation was damning. We're exploring options for the future of the business. Options that don't include most of us, I added. That's enough. Dad roared. Jessica, in my office now. Everyone else, prepare to open the store. Nobody moved. Actually, I said, I think we should all hear this. You've asked me to dedicate my life to this store, asked these people to give years of service, all while planning to sell it out from under us. It's our business, Mom said firmly. Our decision. Is it? Because I've been digging through our incorporation documents. Grandma set this up as a family partnership. I own 25% of this business. That caught them off guard. They believed I didn't know about my ownership stake, another thing my grandmother had quietly arranged before she passed. A minority share, Tyler scoffed. Enough to cause problems for your deal, I replied. Enough that Megamart's lawyers will ask questions when they discover you tried to hide a part owner from the negotiations. Dad's face was turning purple. You would sabotage this opportunity out of spite? No, I'd protect this business and these people out of responsibility. The responsibility you taught me, remember. I turned to the staff. I can't promise what will happen, but I'm going to fight this. Anyone who wants to join me, I appreciate your support. Anyone who doesn't, I understand. To my surprise, every single employee stayed put, standing with me. This is ridiculous, Tyler sputtered. All of you work for us. Actually, Hector said quietly, we work for Wright's Home Goods. The question is whether that still means something. My father pointed at the door. Everybody out. The store is closed today. Jessica, you're fired. I shook my head. You can't fire a part owner without board approval. And our bylaws define the board as all family partners. I smiled thinly. I don't approve. For the first time, I saw uncertainty flash in my father's eyes. The next 2 weeks were corporate warfare. My parents tried to lock me out, but I had my own keys. They tried to restrict my computer access, but Lauren helped me get around it. They threatened legal action, but my lawyer assured them that would only delay their Megamart deal and expose their financial irregularities. Through it all, I kept the store running smoothly, making sure our customers remained unaffected by the power struggle happening behind the scenes. Meanwhile, I was working on my own plan with Tony and the Hendersons. It all came to a head on a rainy Thursday afternoon. I was helping a customer when my parents and Tyler walked in with a man in an expensive suit, the Megamart representative, coming for his final walkthrough before signing. "Jessica," my father said stiffly, "this is Mr. Chambers from Megamart. He's here to tour the facility." I smiled professionally. "I'm afraid there's been a miscommunication. Megamart won't be purchasing this location." Mr. Chambers looked confused. "I have a contract right here, ready for final signatures." "That contract is for the business assets and name, not the building," I explained. "And there's been a significant development regarding the building." I nodded toward the door where Mrs. Henderson had just entered with her lawyer. "What's going on?" my mother demanded. Mrs. Henderson stepped forward. "We've decided to sell this building," she announced. As per the lease agreement, we offered first right of refusal to Wright's Home Goods, which we've accepted, I added, through a small business loan and investment partnership. My father's face went slack. "That's impossible. We don't have the capital approved for property purchase." "You don't," I agreed. "But Wright's Home Goods does now, through its new ownership structure." I handed Mr. Chambers a document. "You should know that the business entity you're negotiating with has undergone a restructuring. I now control 51% of Wright's Home Goods." Tyler lunged for the paper. "That's a lie." Mr. Chambers reviewed it with a frown. "This appears to indicate that several employees have been granted partnership shares, with Ms. Jessica Wright as majority shareholder." "When did this happen?" "Last week," I said, "when my former employees became my business partners. We pooled resources to secure a loan for the building purchase. It had taken everything I had, my savings, a second mortgage on my apartment, and the trust of our employees who invested their own money. Tony had helped with the rest, becoming a silent partner in exchange for exclusive supplier rights." "This is fraud," my father spluttered. "No," my lawyer said, stepping forward from where he'd been quietly observing. "It's entirely legal. Ms. Wright made fair market offers to purchase additional partnership shares from non-participating family members, that's you, which you ignored. Under your own corporate bylaws, failure to respond within 5 business days constitutes a waiver of right of first refusal on internal share transfers. We never received any offers." Mom protested. "They were sent by certified mail to the business address," my lawyer replied smoothly. "Signed for by Tyler Wright." He produced the receipt with Tyler's hasty signature. Tyler went pale. He'd been signing for all mail coming to the store, probably tossing my letters without even opening them, too arrogant to imagine they could be important. Mr. Chambers closed his folder. "It seems I need to reassess the situation. Perhaps we should postpone today's signing until these ownership questions are clarified." "There's nothing to clarify," I said firmly. "Wright's Home Goods is no longer for sale. We're staying right here in the building we now own." As the Megamart representative left, my father turned to me, betrayal and rage in his eyes. "You've destroyed everything we planned." "No," I countered. "I saved what you were willing to destroy. This business, these jobs, our family legacy." "This isn't over," Tyler warned, his voice shaking. "Actually, it is," I replied. "You have 2 choices. 1, you stay on as regular employees under the new ownership structure. 2, you accept a fair buyout for your remaining shares and go start that high-end store you wanted." "You think we'd work for you?" Tyler scoffed. "I think you'll do whatever makes financial sense," I replied. "Which is what this was always about for you, wasn't it?" Mrs. Henderson touched my arm gently. "Your grandmother would be proud, Jessica. She always said you were the one who truly understood what this store meant to the community." As they all stood there, absorbing the complete reversal of fortune, I felt no triumph, only a bittersweet sense of justice and the weight of my new responsibilities to the people who trusted me. "Lauren," I called across the store, "could you bring out the partnership agreements for everyone to review? We have a staff meeting in an hour to discuss our 5-year growth plan." I turned back to my stunned family. "You're welcome to attend. After all, this is still Wright's Home Goods. It's just run by all the Wrights now, including the ones who don't share our last name but have put their hearts into this place." With that, I walked away to help a waiting customer, leaving them to contemplate the new reality they had created with their betrayal and the different path I had chosen in response. 6 months later, our store had its best quarter ever. The employee-owned concept became our most powerful marketing point, drawing customers who wanted to support our ethical business model. My parents eventually sold their remaining shares and helped Tyler open his high-end home goods boutique across town. It struggled in its first year, teaching Tyler some hard lessons about running a business that can't be learned in MBA programs. Dad still hasn't spoken to me, but Mom came by last week. She didn't apologize, exactly, but she did say, "Your grandmother's way worked better than ours, I suppose." It wasn't much, but it was something. As for me, I finally moved the management photos in the back hallway, creating a wall that showed all 23 of our partner owners instead of just the Wright family. But I kept my grandmother's portrait in the center. After closing yesterday, I stood looking at her picture, wondering what she would think of all that had happened. "We did it, Grandma," I whispered. "We kept your legacy alive, just in a different way than you might have imagined." Sometimes the family you choose proves stronger than the family you're born into. And sometimes, saving something you love means breaking the mirror that showed only a distorted reflection of its true value. Would you have fought for your family business, or started fresh somewhere new? Was I right to take such dramatic steps to save the store and its employees? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.